The card reader beeped once, sharp and unforgiving, and in that tiny sound a man who owned half the skyline felt something he had not felt in decades: fear. The line behind him shifted, the cashier's smile stiffened, and the word "declined" flashed like a quiet accusation on the screen. In a city where his name opened doors, where his signature moved markets, the billionaire stood frozen under fluorescent lights, exposed in a way money had never allowed. Before this story goes any further, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that the smallest hands can carry the greatest hope. He had not planned to stop at the corner grocery that evening. The driver was late, rain was sliding down the glass towers, and the ache in his chest had followed him all day like a shadow. He had walked in to buy a few simple things, things he never noticed before because they were always there: bread, milk, a box of cheap cookies he remembered from a childhood that felt borrowed now. The card declined again when he tried a second time, and with it came a strange stillness. No one recognized him here. No cameras. No assistants. Just a tired man in an expensive coat, the weight of years pressing down as the line grew restless. He felt smaller than he ever had in boardrooms where his voice ended arguments. The cashier asked him to step aside, and he did, heart pounding, pride burning, wondering how a life built on numbers could stumble over something so small. He waited near the door, pretending to scroll through his phone while the system reset. That was when he noticed the girl. She stood near the candy rack, thin jacket zipped to her chin, hair damp from the rain, eyes watching the counter with a seriousness far beyond her age. She clutched a small paper bag like it was a treasure chest, fingers tight around the crumpled top. She was poor in the way children sometimes are, not just in clothes or shoes but in the careful way she measured the world, counting steps, counting seconds, counting the cost of everything. The man looked away at first, embarrassed by his own vulnerability, but the room felt charged, as if something unseen was leaning in. When the cashier finally shook her head and turned back to the line, the man understood what that meant. He felt the old reflex rise, to argue, to assert, to call someone who could fix it, but something stopped him. Perhaps it was the memory of his mother's hands counting coins on a kitchen table long gone, or the sudden realization that power had trained him to avoid moments like this, not endure them. He set his basket down, rain tapping at the windows, and prepared to leave empty-handed, carrying a quiet shame he could not expense away. That was when the girl moved. She stepped forward with a determination that startled everyone, lifting the small paper bag onto the counter. Inside were coins, not many, but arranged with care, edges aligned, the kind of order that comes from counting again and again until hope fits the numbers. She did not speak, she did not look for permission. She simply poured the coins out, a soft clatter that filled the store with something warmer than sound. The cashier froze, and so did the men, as realization spread like light. The girl's eyes were steady, her face set with a courage learned too early, as if she understood that sometimes adults needed saving too. Time slowed. The man felt his throat tighten as he watched the cashier count the coins, watched the total creep upward, watched the girl nod slightly with each addition as if encouraging the sum to reach its goal. It did not. The coins fell short, but the gesture had already done something impossible. It had shifted the room. A woman in line placed a bill on the counter. Then another. Someone else added change. The cashier's hands moved again, and this time the number crossed the line. The purchase was covered, not by wealth, but by willingness. The man stood there, stunned, as if the world had tilted back into place on a different axis. He walked out into the rain with his bag, but he did not go far. The girl was outside under the awning, carefully folding her empty paper bag, rain misting her lashes. He felt the urge to kneel, to thank her, to explain himself, but explanations felt heavy and unnecessary. Instead, he took in the small details, the scuffed shoes, the way she watched the street like it might swallow her if she wasn't careful, the quiet dignity of a child who had learned that doing the right thing was not optional. Something inside him cracked open, and with it came a clarity he had avoided for years. He realized that the decline was not a glitch, it was an invitation. In the days that followed, he could not stop thinking about the girl, about the sound of coins on laminate, about the way strangers had leaned toward kindness without being asked. He began to notice the invisible scaffolding that held his life up, the workers he passed without seeing, the systems he benefited from without understanding. He changed things, slowly at first, then with intent. He paid off school lunches in districts he had never visited. He funded shelters that felt like homes. He set up a quiet foundation that put small sums in the hands of people who knew exactly what to do with them. He did not put his name on it. He did not call the press. He carried the memory like a compass. Months later, on another rainy evening, he returned to the same store. He did not look for the girl, he did not need to. He paid for the groceries of the person behind him and the one behind them, and the cashier's eyes softened with recognition of something bigger than money. As he stepped outside, the city felt different, not conquered, not owned, but shared. He understood then that wealth had taught him how to accumulate, but a poor little girl had taught him how to give. Before this story ends, please comment below and share what you believe the girl's act truly meant, because your words matter and kindness grows when it is named. And if this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that the smallest acts can reroute entire lives, please like, share, and subscribe. Engagement tells stories like this that they are worth telling. The card declined that night, but something else went through, something priceless, and it has been paying dividends ever since.